Hi everybody, welcome to our Father's Day craft session. I hope everyone's ready to do some craft along with me. You're welcome to watch as I do it and do it later, or hopefully you can do it along with me. So we are going to make today, these are some car air fresheners, and I've just put a sample together, so that's kind of what the finished product might look like. This is only one, so you're going to end up with two inside the packet. And the other thing we're making today is this beautiful beeswax candle, which I've got lit here, and that will burn for about 9 hours, so it can be used a few times. So I'm just going to go through the kits to make sure that you've got everything, and there's a few other extra things you might need as well. So in your kit, you would have gotten the instructions for the candle and for the air fresheners. Then let's go through the candle first. Then you should have 3 bits of wax, which we're going to turn into 6 pieces, and a little wick. And there should be a tiny little brown jar with oil in it. Now, for the candle, you want the one with the white sticker on the lid. So the white sticker is the citronella, and in there is 6 drops of the citronella oil. So the wax, the wick, and the jar with the white sticker on it, that's for the candle. And also you'll need the cotton bud that I provided in there as well. So that's for applying the oil to the wax. Then for the air freshener, you've got your templates, and you can choose. You might want to do a tie and a hammer, or if your dad or uncle or grandpa, whoever you're making it for, or carer is a business person, maybe they just want 2 ties, or they might really love cars. You might want to do 2 cars, or whatever. So it's up to you to choose which ones you want. You will have a pile of different materials. There will be enough here. The black is enough to make 2 for today, but there'll be some left over. So if you want to make more another time, you're able to. And again, you'll have the little jar with the oil in it. And you'll have 2 longer pieces of string. They are for hanging up the air freshener. Now, what else you will need is a pen or a pencil or something like that for drawing around the material. You will also need a pair of scissors. I hope they're sharp. So if you haven't got sharp scissors, go and grab yourself some sharp scissors. And then some glue. I'm just using a glue stick today. And then you'll also need, which I forgot to mention, either a stapler or some sticky tape, just to secure the tag onto the top of the plastic bag. Oh, and the other thing you've got is the Ziploc bag, 2 pieces of material, and obviously the tag that goes on the top. Now, I want to apologize up front. I know that we're trying to be natural here, and we're doing beeswax candles with essential oil, and the air fresheners with cardboard and cotton material. However, I looked everywhere. I wanted to use cellophane bags so that we could see them showing through. I could not find cellophane, because cellophane's made out of cellulose, which is a plant. You can't get cellulose bags. I looked everywhere. So I apologize up front. This is plastic, but it's a Ziploc bag, so it can be used again for other things. So hopefully you guys recycle that. All right, we might get started. Just bear with me a second. I'm going to grab the little jar. So I should show you those little jars. So the little jar with just the plain black lid, that is going to be the one for the air fresheners. And in there are 8 drops of oil, so 4 for each air freshener. And then the one with the white lid, that is going to be for the candle. So let's start with the candle first, I think. All right. So we want the 3 bits of wax, the wick, the white lidded jar of oil and the cotton bud. Oh, hello, Andrea. All right, so we're going to go with the wax first. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn these 3 pieces into 6 pieces. So very carefully, in fact, what I'm going to do, let's bring you down here. Somebody's got their sound on. All right, I'm going to bring you down here. Let's look down here. Can you all see me, what I'm doing here? Okay, we are going to gently fold these in half along the long edge and just push. And then if you then fold them back the other way, exactly in the middle, once you've done that, you should be able to back and forth, and you'll see, can you see the crack forming there? Back and forth, back and forth. Do it very gently. If you find it starting to not tear neatly, so see down here, I'm actually going to trim that with scissors so that it doesn't get too out of hand. So sometimes they'll break nicely in half. Other times you might need to just trim it with scissors along the crease. So there we go. One done. All right, let's do the next one. So again, we're going to fold it carefully in half. Fold it back the other way. And then, oh, see, this one's coming really nicely. Did you see that? Bang, done. So sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not so easy. And then the third one, I'm going to fold that in half. Fold it back the other way. And then bend it back and forth. And again, this one is going to do it nice and easy for us. All right, but if you need to, grab your scissors out and trim along there. So we've now got 6 pieces of wax. All right, I'm going to come to the edge of my table here. And I'm going to get my little piece of string now. I'm going to choose my left-hand side. This is going to be the bottom of the candle. So I'm going to place the wick so that it's level with the bottom of the candle and it sticks out the top. And then I'm pulling the wax just past the edge of the table. So maybe not even half a centimetre. I'm going to lift it up. And again, do it slowly so you don't tear the wax. It's quite delicate. Now, can you see how I've secured that? So now the wax is secured. I've just folded it over a tiny little bit. All right, it's easier if you do it from the edge of the table. I'll just give people a chance to catch up. All right, now once you've done that, now we need to keep rolling. So again, I find it easier if I come right back to the edge of the table here. And I'm just using my fingers, so pinching a little bit across along. So I start at one end, just little by little by little by little, it starts to roll over. So I'm going to pull it back again, little by little. So I'm just pinching and rolling. Pinching and rolling. Once you've done that about 3 or 4 times, then if I just hold down the wax, I can start to push. And I want to keep it fairly tight as I'm rolling. All right, now that we've done it about halfway, what I want you to do is grab your oil. I want to see this white stopper with your fingernail. Get in there and pull, try not to spill oil everywhere, but pull out that white stopper. And put that aside. Then with your cotton bud, you can either put the cotton bud in there or you can just gently put just one drop, and you're going to spread that around. So I've got my big bottle here. So I'm just going to put just one drop. One drop, and then I'm going to use the cotton bud. And we're just going to roughly spread that around on the sheet. Just distributing it. And we'll be doing more drops, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So that's the citronella. That should be from the jar with the white lid. Okay, we're going to keep rolling. Now I've probably got about 5 centimeters left here. I'm going to take the next strip and I'm going to place that in against there and start to roll over the top of it. So now we've secured the second strip in. So I've just secured, that's the old one at the back, and this is the new one that we've just put in. All right. So I'll just show you again with about 5 centimeters left. We just place that on top. And we want to make sure that the bottom lines up with the bottom. So we want to keep the bottom very flat. Don't worry if the top's a bit jiggly, but you want to keep the bottom of the candle very flat. And just start to roll that in so it secures in place. Once you've secured it a little bit, we're going to get another drop of citronella oil, one drop, and we're going to spread that roughly around. Just spread it around as best you can. And then we keep rolling. So here you'll see that's the end of the other piece. Don't worry about that. Just keep rolling and it'll be rolled in and secured with the other one. All right. And again, once I get to about 5 centimeters, I take another piece. I slide it in there, making sure that I keep the base of the candle all flat. And I just want to roll it just a little bit to secure it. Then I get another drop of citronella oil. One drop. And with my cotton bud, I roughly spread it around again. So we're just repeating the same pattern because you want the oil to be distributed all the way through the candle. And then we roll that one up. You can feel the candle getting thicker and thicker now. And again, I'm stopping about 5 centimeters, and then I get another piece. Slide that in. A little bit of a roll to secure it in place. Another drop of oil. Spread that around. And the citronella oil is great because it keeps all the mozzies away. So this is a good one to burn outside if you're sitting outside at night time. It keeps all the mozzies away, but it's natural. Okay, and then we're going to roll that one up. I've got 2 more pieces left to go. If you do run out of oil, that's fine. Don't stress. But hopefully you've got enough drops to get you all the way to the end. So another piece, I'm putting it in. Now, I don't know if you can see, I'm keeping the bottom straight, but my top one here, see, there's a little bit of a mismatch, but at the top of the candle, that won't matter. What's important is that I keep the base of the candle straight. So just a little roll and another drop of oil. And spreading that around. These are 100% therapeutic grade essential oils, so they're one of the best quality ones that you can get. I get them from a company called Young Living, and I think they're absolutely wonderful. Very, very pure. They've been grown on farms that are basically organic farms, so there's no chemicals involved in the production of the plants. Roll that up, and then the last piece, so this should be your last piece. Slide that into place. And then a last drop of oil if you've got any left. And I'm not going to put oil right to the end. I'm going to leave a couple of centimeters. So I'll just spread that around. I want to leave a couple of centimeters because I don't particularly want to get oil on my fingers. And rolling it up. You should have a nice fat candle now. Rolling it all the way to the end. Now the edges here. You want to secure the edges in place. So we need to put a bit of pressure here, and I actually like to use my thumbnail. So if I run my thumbnail along, it helps to secure it. But I also want to make sure the base is flat. So before I do that a second time, I'm going to grab my candle and I'm going to bang just to make sure that the base is nice and flat. And then I'm going to come back here with my thumbnail and put a bit of pressure there to secure that tightly. There we go. We have a citronella candle. Now you need to bear in mind with this candle, oh, you can't see it. Can you see it? Oh, yes, I've got something in the way. There we go. Excellent. With this candle, the oil is not in the wax. So this is not a melted candle. It's a rolled candle. So because of that, the smell of the oil is going to dissipate within the next couple of months. So this is not a candle that I would leave on the shelf for forever. This is a candle that I would use fairly quickly. Now, the last thing you want to do is you need to trim your wick. This is way too long. So you want about 1 centimeter, so about the thickness of your finger. And I'm using that as a guide. So then I can hold the wick. I hope you've got nice sharp scissors and just trim that off. And so now you've got a wick that's the right size, ready for lighting. So there you go. There's a nice, thick, stubby man candle with citronella in it, ready to keep the mozzies away. Well done, everybody. All right, let's move on to the next one. And the next one is our Father's Day Car Fresheners. Now, this is a special blend that I put together just for you guys. And the oils that I've put into it, you're going to probably think they're really weird smells, but pine's a nice fresh color. And I've put in some myrtle, some marjoram, and some clary sage. So this is a special blend that I've made, And again, you have 8 drops in your bottle. So you've got 4 drops for each of the air fresheners. And as I said, they're very potent oils. So what we're going to start with, I want you to start with your template, and I want you to choose what design you want. So you might want to do, as I said, I did the tie before, and I got a bit clever with the different colors there. Or you might want to do the hammer or the car. I think I'm going to do the car this time. So what you want to do, I'm just going to trim this generally out of the way. So now I can put that aside and I can just work with the car for now. And what you want to do is when you're cutting, you want to cut to the outside of the shape. So this is going to be our template that we're going to draw around. So just with your scissors, I'm cutting to the outside of the black line as close as I can. We'll cut around the shape. As I know some dads are really into fast cars or cars in general, or old-fashioned cars or sports cars, but they really love their cars. Some of them know how to build cars or do their mechanical work. So I'm just cutting around that shape, sticking to the outside of the line, around the wheels. If your dad's a builder or an electrician or something like that, you might want to do the hammer. Or you might do 2 of the same one, which means you only have to cut out 1 of the templates. You won't need to cut out more than 1. All righty. There we go. Job done. Now I'm just going to give people time to catch up, and while we're doing that, I'm going to cut out the hammer as well. I'm not going to use the hammer today, but again, I'm just sticking just to the very outline. Now I'll show you a little trick. See how we've got an indentation in there? I'm going to cut straight across that first. Then I'm going to cut down and down, and I'm stopping the scissors. And now if I spin that around, I've still got my scissors in there in the corner. If I spin it around, then I can cut along the bottom. There we go. Look at that. All right, so sometimes there's easier ways of getting into little corners. Again, I'm going to cut the bulk of that off. Make it easy for myself. And the same thing here, I'm going to cut right across to the handle, and I'm going to cut down the handle first and get all of this bit out of the way. And then I can go back in here. So the same thing, I'm going to just a little cut and stop my scissors. I'm not going to close them. And again, a little cut and stop my scissors. And then with my scissors still in the corner, I'm going to spin the bit of paper and very gently and slowly cut across there. And there's that bit. I can just pull that off. There we go. Around the bottom part. Now this is going to be a bit, oh, this is easy. So straight up the handle. Now the same thing. I'm going to stop my scissors here. I haven't closed my scissors, and I'm just going to spin slowly, very slowly, just squeezing my scissors a little bit. Squeezing my scissors and spinning and squeezing and spinning and squeezing. And now I can cut that bit straight. There we go. And the last bit. There we go. So now we've got a hammer template, a car, and the tie. All right, now you'll notice with the tie that I've got some multicolors on it. You don't have to do that. You may just want to use the checkered one. You don't have to get fancy like this, but I will show you how to do that. So I'm going to start with the hammer first. You want to start with, you want to start with your cardboard. Now, some of the cardboard has writing on it, but that won't show up in the final design. So place your template on, and then with your pencil or texter or pen, whatever you've got, we're going to hold that in place. So I'm going to put 2 fingers down and I'm going to draw. And sometimes it's, see how I'm up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes that's easier because if I go like that, sometimes the paper pushes out the way. So I'm bracing it with my fingers and slowly around, just touching the edge of the paper. Now, if it gets tricky, so see here, just scratching close to the paper. What I'm going to do, I want to get to the other side. So I'm actually going to turn the whole thing upside down, put it back into place, and then repin it with my fingers again. And so now, and I'm going to have to move my fingers. Look, I'm going to need 2 up here. 1, 2, to pin it down. All right, once you've gone around that, we're now going to cut the same shape. We're going to cut along that line. So I'll also do the car. So the same with the car, pinning it down with 2 fingers and drawing around it, touching the paper. Spinning it around, making sure it's lined up. And now I can draw the other side. All right, I've got my car, I've got my hammer. Now we are going to cut around them. So the same as before, just following along the line. Going around the ties. Hope you've got nice sharp scissors. And this cardboard, this is what we're going to be putting the oil onto later because it's nice and thick, but it'll soak up the oil really nicely as well. Over the roof. Okay, and then I'm going to do the hammer as well because that's a bit tricky. So again, we can just cut out the bits out of the way that are hard. I mean, are easy. Cut them out of the way first, then we can do the details later. So straight across to the handle. Turning my, no, that's going to be too hard. All right, so because the cardboard's thicker, I'm actually going to come up this way into that corner. There we go. And then I'm just going to have to round that off. And with the points of my scissors, this could be a little bit trickier. Again, we need to pivot to get in there. I'm just going to use my fingers to pull that out. Now, again, because the cardboard's a bit thicker, we might need to tackle this one from the other side. So again, I'm going to go across here. I'm going to cut that out of the way for myself, so that's not getting in my way. I'm going to come here first. Yeah, and now I can pivot. Pivoting, little snips, pivoting, little snips. And now I'm going to take it out and come from the other end. Pivoting, little snips, pivoting. There we go, I got it. Done. All right, let's get all of our scraps out the way. So the hammer, I'm going to start with the hammer. Oh, sorry, before we start going with the color, let's get the backing. So if I show you the first one I made, I've got all these pretty colors on the front, but the back of it's black. Okay. So with your black piece of material, you should be able to fit 2 designs on the one piece. So these are going to be the backings, all right? So I'm going to take one first. Oops, I missed a bit. I missed this bit in here. Okay, that's better. Right. Now this is where the lighter colored pencil, a lead pencil will work, or a white pencil or something like that. You want to be able to see it on the black. So you're going to, touching the cardboard, again, we've got to hold it in place. And again, this is tricky because the material moves a bit. So just do the best you can. And this is called sketching, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm coming around under here. So touching tightly. Back and forth, back and forth. I'm just going to spin it so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Right, there's one. Now you might want to repeat that pattern if you're having the same design, or you might want a different design. So now I'm going to put my car. Back and forth, bit of pressure. It is tricky with the material. It does move around. But if you just hold the cardboard in place, spin that around a bit. If you've got a white pencil, hopefully you can see it nice and clearly. There we go, and a car. So I've got my hammer and my car. Now, again, to make it easy when we're cutting, I hope your scissors are sharp because we've now got to cut the material. First of all, I'm simply going to cut this in half so I can just work with one at a time. And when you're cutting material, like I know with these ones, see how when I do that, the tip, it folds it. I've got us there in the mid, and if I go right down the bottom, it also folds it. So for these scissors, I've actually got, there's a sweet spot in the middle. This is the sharpest part of the scissors. The tips are not sharp and down here is not sharp. This is it. So have a look at where your scissors are. Some bits are going to work better than others when you're cutting material. Yeah, see, that just folds the material. So if your scissors aren't working, you might want to do this later when you can find yourself some nice sharp scissors. So again, just little bits, sticking to the line. We are cutting this dead on the line, dead along the line, nice and neatly. Again, I'm going to need to pivot around here. So very just squeezing my scissors a little bit and pivoting the material as I pull it around. And then I've got the straight line. And that's the flat edge of the hook. And a slight curve here. So just, again, it can be tricky. It can be very tricky. You've got to find the sweet spot. Now, again, I'm going to cut straight across here. And then I'm going to come back and cut out the little inlet there. So the 2 downstrokes first. 1 downstroke. 2 downstrokes. And then across. And I need to go back in. There we go. Oh, I missed a couple of strands. Still missed a couple of strands. Got it. Now we've got to remember when we cut the other piece, we've got a front side and a back side. So we're going to need to turn the hammer over so that we've got the opposite, the mirror image of it. Down the handle. So this is going to be the backing, and this will be the bit of material that goes on last. So we get it out the way first. Okay, there we go. That's done. So that's going to go that way. And now with the hammer, we want a hammer part and then we want a handle. So you're going to want 2 colors, right? Because on the hammer, you've got the hammer part, which is generally metallic, and then a handle, which is different. So with that, what you can do is you could cut out a whole piece and then cut out a handle part, or you can cut out just the head, and then a handle. So I'm actually going to make the head out. Now this material is a bit tricky to cut. I'll let you know up front with that. It's a bit tricky to cut. So I'm going to measure a piece. Let's draw ourselves a line. All right, so we're going to aim for there. So we want the material to come past that line a little bit so it can be stuck underneath, and you'll see why in a minute, because it'll look neater. It's the same with the tie. With this one, I did the whole piece first and then I put those on later. Maybe if I take this out of here, you'll see what I did here. Well, some of you might be working on the tie. So I put this whole piece on first, and see how they're tucked in neatly. So I actually folded them over the edge, and these I folded over so that it's nice and neat. So the same with the car. You might have the car being one color, and then you want to cut out a shape for the windows and different color for the wheels. That's okay. This is where we can be creative, all right? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to place that. So I need it to come past this line about 1 centimeter. And then we want about 1 centimeter all the way around, because that's going to tuck over. Whoops, so I haven't left enough here. Come down. So see how I've got about 1 centimeter. So I'm tracing. So regardless of whether you're doing the tie or the car, I want you to leave about 1 centimeter, because that's going to turn over to the other side. So can you see that? I've roughly drawn all the way around the head of the hammer, about 1 centimeter bigger. And now I'm going to cut that out. Oh, guess what? I've forgotten a step. I'm going to cut this out and then I'm going to go back. I've forgotten one of the steps. Now this won't look anything much like anything at this point, but you'll understand why in a minute once we get it on. All right, let's leave that for now. We want this to hang, okay? So we're going to need a hole through here, through the top. You're going to need a hole through here. So the easiest way to do that is to put the hole in now. So I want my hammer to hang from here. So I'm going to take my scissors and again, leaving probably about 1 centimeter, I'm going to use my scissors to poke a hole through the cardboard. Now I'm going to take 2 fingers on the back. So my fingers are either side of where the scissors are, and I'm going to gently rotate and push and see how the scissors have come through to the other side. And I can use the blade to make myself, you don't want to go too far, but make a nice size hole there, all right? Because that's where it's going to hang from. Same as with if you're doing the car, I would probably put it in the middle here somewhere where it can hang. So the same thing, I'm going to get my scissors about 1 centimeter in, poke a little hole, then bracing it with 2 fingers at the back. I don't want to poke my fingers, but slowly and gently, and the blade's gone between my fingers. Now, if you don't have pointy scissors, some people have rounded scissors. You can do it with a pen as well. So you can just poke it and then use the pen the same way, pushing until the pen goes through. You could even do it with a pencil. If your pencil's nice and sharp, poke it in and then push, bracing it with your 2 fingers, push with the pencil, all right? So if your scissors have got rounded tops, you can still do it with the pencil or pen as well. All right, so we've got the holes in our cardboard. Now let's go back to placing the material. So remember, that's how I cut it. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take our oil. Now, when you're putting the oil, you've got to think about where you're going to put it. Personally, with the tie, I would put the oil in this big bit down here. With the hammer, I think I'm going to place the oil here, maybe down the handle, but here. With the car, I would put it in the body bit, all right? So I'm going to place the oil. So again, try and get that stopper out. This is the one with just the black lid now. And just 4 of the drops. So not only half of it, because you want to leave the other half. And so you're going to put in 1. You could spread it around a little bit. 2. Oops, that one came out fast. Yeah, maybe I'll put some down the handle as well. Right, you can see how the cardboard soaks it all in nicely. And 4. All right. Now we get our glue. And we're actually going to glue over the top of that oil. So we're going to put plenty of glue on the top, and where I put the line a little bit past the line. Same with the tie or the car. And I'm going to stick that over the top. So if I turn it over, see how I've got an even fold over, and we're going to fold all this over. But before we do that, we need to trim it. So with my scissors, wherever there is a corner or an indent, we're going to cut. So here I've got a corner, I'm going to cut. Here I've got a curve, but that's the widest point. So I'm going to cut up to the cardboard. So now can you see how that folds over into there? That'll fold over into there. So I'm going to have to cut this corner off because I've got way too much material here. So see how I've cut that corner out? That'll be folding over into there. In here, I'm going to cut up into the middle of that curve. So with the tie, you would cut at these points, and you would cut in the indentation, and you would cut at the top of there. So the tie is fairly easy. With the car, you're going to cut where the tires are in there and there, and one at where the curve is, you want to cut one at a peak. All right, because curves are tricky. That's a flat, so that's great. Then we can cut around into the indentations, cut up the top there. This one, we've got a point here, so we need to cut on that corner. We need to cut on that corner. This is a curve, so we need to cut in the middle of that curve. We need to cut into that indentation. That's straight, but I've got a corner here, so I'm going to cut there. So I hope that's all making sense. I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to cut some of that pointy bit off. And in around it. Now, that bit in there might be tricky. We'll have to see. I've got to figure that bit out. That will fold over to there. So you can test it. You can test it by seeing what it's doing. All right, I think I'm going to cut up that way. And that will just fold over like that. That will fold over like that. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so you can test what you're doing there. That will fold in. Now see how when I fold that in, this little corner is too much. So I'm actually going to trim that bit off, because you want all of these pieces to be hiding once you've folded them back. All right. So I'm going to keep cutting. I've got a point here and a curve and a point there. Now I'm going to cut there and cut there. So this bit I'm going to pull down inside. So I want to cut all the way down. There we go. So now when I pull them up, you'll have that kind of shape. So once you've done all your trimming around the outside, again, I'm just going to glue all of this, plenty of glue right out to the edges. And then we're going to stick them down. Now make sure you don't cover up your hole, because you'll need to access that later. You don't want to put too many layers of material there. So now we're just gluing them all down. If the material is overlapping itself, you might need to put another bit of glue. Don't worry about what the back looks like. By the time we put our black material on, it'll look all nice and neat and finished. Right now, we're just wanting to secure the front, so the front looks nice. This hammer's quite complicated. I think we're going to need an extra cut in here. There we go. Plenty of glue. A bit more glue there. Now this bit's going to, again, I think this is going to be tricky here. Whoop. There we go. How's it looking on the front? Pretty good. And then the last bit here. All right, so I've done the head of my hammer. Now I need to do the handle. And what color do I want the handle to be? Bright blue? Yeah, I think I'll do bright blue. All right, so when I'm cutting the handle now, I want it, again, we want to leave about 1 centimeter either side. And I want to come above here because we're going to fold that over to make a nice neat edge. So I reckon I can come down just like that. So I'm going to cut that off. So the same with the tie here. If you wanted to decorate your tie, again, you would want something that was going to stick out over the edge so you can fold it over. But here, to get those nice neat edges, you're going to fold that. All right, same with here. You might want to put 2 horizontal stripes. So if you're decorating the tie, see how I've folded it? And then now I've got nice neat edges and I can stick that over the top. So this is where you can be a bit creative. All right, so I'm going to put glue on the handle and glue up on the material a little bit. So I'm going to fold that over to give me a nice neat edge and stick that. Then I'm going to turn it over, make sure it's in the middle. All right, so now you can see why. We see now we've got the nice straight edge there. It's not going to fray. So again, I just need to trim it. So I've got corners here, which I'm going to trim. Trim this corner here. Now plenty of glue. Now we've got some extra bits here, so I'm going to need to cut that off. And it's really tricky if you don't have sharp scissors. Folding it over, tucking in all those edges, plenty of glue up here, tucking it in. You want it fairly nice and tight. Stick it all down. And again, if the material is going onto the material, don't be afraid to add more glue so that all those layers are stuck down. I know it looks pretty messy on the back at the moment, but it will turn out nice, trust me. It just looks a bit messy in the process. Folding that over. Right, so there I've got my hammer. Looking pretty good now. There's 2 more steps to go with this one. So now we're going to put the backing on to make it look nice on the back. All right, and that'll cover up all of that messy stuff there. So we want to, again, we want plenty of glue. And the easiest way to put this on is to start from the outside edge and pull it towards the middle, because we want to go in the direction that we pulled the material around, because then it won't unfold on itself. So put the glue on from the edge, pulling towards the middle, and you'll find you'll get it'll go on easier without the material coming off. Plenty of glue. All right, I've got gluey sticky fingers too. Getting my bit of black material. And because we cut this to the edge, that should fit perfectly. You want to push that down, make sure it all sticks. Right. Now we want to put a bit of string on it, right? So remember the hole that we put in there? We've already got a hole in our cardboard. We're going to, again, brace with our 2 fingers on the coloured side, and we're going to find that hole. You'll be able to feel it. If you push with your fingers, you'll be able to feel an indentation. So go in there. Again, if you need to use a pen, it's going to be easier to do it from the black side. And just open up that hole in the material. It doesn't have to be huge. All right, and once you've got a little hole in there, it's time to get your long string. And we're going to put a knot in the string first. And you're going, what? Knot in the string first? I'll show you why. So if you take your long piece of string, fold it in half so the 2 ends meet each other. Fold it in half so the 2 ends are even and they meet each other. You're going to grab those 2 ends and pinch them between your thumb and your finger. Then I'm going to roll that around my finger. And these 2 ends, I'm going to fold them over, push with my thumb, tuck them in, and now I've made a knot. So I've got my 2 little bits hanging out. So we've got this loop now, right? Now, leave the knotted end, come down to the other end where it was folded in half. Again, starting on the black side, put the folded end where the hole is, and then with your pen or your scissors, push it into the hole until you just start to see it poking out on the other side, and you can grab it. You might even need a skewer or a toothpick to do this. All right, so there we go. Once you can grab it, you can pull it through a little bit, open up that loop, take the end with the knot in it, put that through the loop, and then pull it tight. Does that make sense? All right. One of your air fresheners is finished. Right, let's do another one. I think I'll do the car this time. So remember, I already had my black material. We're going to cut that out again. So we're going to do the whole process again with our second one. Hopefully they're turning out well. You've got some nice creations going on there. Oh, and you could even, what's is it Steve McLean from the Cars movie? Does he have a number on his car? Well, maybe you could even cut out a number because you've got some leftover material. You could put 11 or 1. 1 for number 1 dad. Number 1 best dad in the world, hey? That would be nice. You can decorate these however you want to. And you know what? If he's got a really nice cologne, if he wears aftershave or something, you could always make another one because you've got extra material and you've got the templates. I'm sure you've got a bit of string hanging around at home and some cardboard. I don't know, with all the online shopping, everything comes in boxes at the moment. Right, there we go. I've got my base ready. Now I need, now with this one, see how I've got writing on here? I don't want the writing to show, so that would become the back of the car. So I'm going to need to turn that one over. And this is going to become the front of the car. I don't think I've ever seen a checker. That would be good for the tie. I think I'm going to do a plain blue car with black tires. Yep. So that's going to be the front of my car. So I want to trace around that. And remember, we need to leave a centimetre. Now, if it's not going to fit properly, do it on an angle, because remember, we need to leave a centimetre because we've got to fold that material over, okay? So that's not going to work. Where's my pencil gone? So just roughly holding the material, holding the cardboard steady, and a centimetre away, just roughly. Texture might work even, whoopsie daisy. This is very thin, this blue material, isn't it? Very tricky. Down across the bonnet. Doesn't matter if this one looks rough. Just as long as you leave a centimetre for the turning over bits. All right, I think I can kind of see that around there. Okay, then I start cutting. I might even give this one to my son because he just bought a blue car. So it's not for Father's Day. He's not a father yet, but at least I'm making these today. I can give them to him. Snip, snip. This is quite thin, this material. And I can hardly see my line, but that's okay. I'm getting there. And that's the big wheel arch and underneath the car. Hope you've got some fancy, for those of you that are making a tie, I hope you've got some nice fancy looking ties there. So it doesn't have to be. All righty, so again, I don't want the writing there because that might show through the material. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to make sure that that matches. Yep. All right, so I want to put the oil on. So now you can put the rest of the oil that you've got there. The last 4 drops. So you empty out your bottle now. One, two, three, four. Oops, 4 drops. Okay. My office is going to smell like a car now. All righty, so glue. Glue, or especially around the edge of this one. And it's actually easier. So if I turn it over, then I can turn this over, and then I can make sure when I place it, I'm leaving about 1 centimeter around the edge. Pushing down. And again, we need to trim. So where there's a hollow, I'm going to trim into the hollow. And where there's a curve or a corner, I'm going to trim at the top of the curve or at the corner. So into the hollow and into the corner. Trying to find the sweet spot of my scissors that are nice and sharp. Top of the curve and into the hollow. There's a corner there. There's a corner there. There's a hollow here. I hope you're all keeping up okay and I haven't gone too fast for you. And you're planning some breakfast in bed for your dads, hey? I know with Mother's Day, I used to enjoy getting breakfast in bed. It was one of my favorite things. Right, so I've trimmed all around that. Now putting glue all around the edges. And then we start to pull them in. And again, if the material is going over the top of other material, like there, see how it doesn't really stick properly? I'm going to add a bit of extra glue. So that it all sticks to each other. And then you'll see if I fold that over, see how that's sticking out? So I'm going to need to trim that off. There we go. I've got another little corner there I'm going to need to trim off. Folding it over. Bit of extra glue there. In fact, this blue is almost, oh, now here again, I've got my hole. I want to be able to find that later. So I'm just going to trim a little bit of that away. That's better. So yeah, this blue is almost exactly the same color as my son's car. He's very proud he bought himself a new car because his other one was getting quite old. And again, same here. If I fold that over, this bit's going to stick out. So I need to trim that away. Whoop, bit of extra glue there. And the last bit along the bottom. So I hope they're all turning out good for you. All righty, now I want to decorate. Let's have a look at this car. I could just leave it like that, but I've got a little bit of black material left over. Now these ones I'm not going to be able to fold the edges over, unfortunately, because that's going to just be a bit too tricky. So I'm just going to cut 2 circles. So let me give myself 2 pieces to start with. And I want to match that curve. So if I place that down and get that curve, now I know kind of I can keep drawing that circle so that it matches. There we go. Sticky fingers. Are you guys getting sticky fingers? All right, I'm going to cut this circle out. Round, and again, it's little snips and pivoting as I pivot the material around. I can get that nice curve, just following the line that I made there. Right, I have 1 tire. How does that look on there? Oh yeah. I don't think I'm going to bother with windows though. I think I'm just going to put the 2 tires. Oh, actually, you could. I'm not going to, but one of you might like to. You could use that as windows across here. That would kind of be cool, wouldn't it? All right, I need another circle. So the same thing, I'm going to place that down onto the bottom edge a bit and just trace part of it. And now I can just continue that same curve. Oh, or you could use your glue thing. Look at that. Oh, that might be a bit big. But there you go. There's a way of making a circle around the lid of your glue. All righty, and another wheel. So then I'll have 2 wheels. As I said, I'm not going to be able to turn them over. It'll be just too small and difficult, I think. So they could fray a little bit, but if we glue them on, they should be all right. Round we go. All right. So now I can glue my wheels on. Boom, boom, car. 1 wheel. And I want to make sure that I put plenty of glue and right to the very edge and make it into a circle. 1 wheel. And another wheel. Right to the very edge. And around. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Hey, I got a car. All right. Will I put windows on? I don't know. That'd look pretty cool, wouldn't it? You could use that as windows, see? But no, I'm not. I'm just going to put my backing on. So plenty of glue. And again, just a reminder, so glue from the edge into the middle, because then that'll pull the material in on itself. Make sure you're coating right to the very edges. Glue the cardboard as well. And then I'm going to put my backing on. We're almost there, folks. I'm excited. I want to get them in the bags. They smell amazing. I hope you like the smell that I made. Right, lining up the backing and squashing it into place. There we go. One car, smelly. Smells good. Okay, so the string again. We need to refine the hole. So just feel where you put the hole. You can feel it with your finger. It kind of dents in if you push it. So bracing it with 2 fingers on the colored side, and with your scissors or a pen, just gently work your way through the material, because the hole's already there, just through the material. And then getting your string. So I'll go through that knot again. Make sure that the 2 ends line up perfectly with each other. Pinch that between your thumb and your finger. Roll it around your finger so you've made a loop. Then this bit is going to tuck in through the loop. So as you take the loop off your finger, you're going to push that with your thumb through the hole and make a knot. Pull that tight. Then going all the way down to the other end where it's folded in half. Oh, look, mine looks like it's got a beard. I might trim that off a little bit. Very fluffy string. Hope yours isn't that fluffy. All right, so where it folds in half, I'm going to put that on the black side where the hole is. And then with my pencil or scissors, just keep pushing until it comes through to the other side. And once you've got enough to grab, oh, not quite enough. Let me try that again. I find the scissors work best. So pushing that into the hole. There we go. Now I can grab it. Nope, still wants to be difficult. Let's try one more time. I'm going to make this hole a bit bigger. Right. I think it's my fluffy string. You guys all got the good string. Ah, there we go. Now I've got it. I might just need to neaten up that material if it's come unstuck. Pull it through. Once you've got enough to open up that loop, you take the end with the knot and put it through the loop and pull it tight. Now we have 2 air fresheners. I've got a hammer, I've got a car, and I've got a tie. That's the one I made earlier. And they smell great. So the last step is to make them all look pretty in their packet. So this is where you want your plastic bag, and you want this bit of material that says Father's Day Car Freshener on it. So we're going to get this bit of material and we're going to fold this, and you want the 2 lines to line up with the 2 edges. So we're folding it in half and creasing along there. So that's going to be the tab on the top. Open up your bag. Put your car fresheners inside. 1, 2. The reason I wanted them in a bag is because of the essential oils. We don't want them to lose their smelly. So when Dad's ready to use them, they can take them out of the bag and hang them in the car. But while they're not using them, you want to store them inside the bag. All right, then I can just seal that across. So pushing that closed. Now you can either use this with a stapler or some sticky tape. So if you have a stapler, it'll be easy. You just pop it on there. Can you guys see what you're doing? There we go. That's better. And then with the stapler, down the end there. So you want to make sure that you're grabbing you've got to grab the plastic as well, okay? So make sure that you've got enough of the plastic tucked in there. Can you see that little bit of plastic bag? All right, and so I want to make sure that the staple goes all the way down and catches the plastic as well. If you don't have that, you are simply going to get some sticky tape, and with 2 pieces of sticky tape, you can tape the edge of it across the front and across the back. So either one works. If you've got a stapler, great. If you haven't, just use sticky tape. And there you have it. Your Father's Day air fresheners and your Father's Day candle. I hope you've enjoyed that today.